is called Lauren Fosters, where we talk about all things foster care and adoption. And this is my husband, Rich. We have a special guest today.
Hello.
This is what Mr. Fosters, Rich Fosters. I don't know. Fosters isn't even our last name. It's just part of the title of our show. But this is my husband, and I brought him on today because we found that really there's a big need, not just for a foster mom's perspective. I think us foster moms have a really loud voice in the foster care community, but also a foster dad's perspective, because it's different, right?
Yeah. Different
than my perspective on doing all of this. So what would you say it was like going into foster care?
Well, for me, it was kind of I went into it kicking and screaming. I had wanted almost nothing to do with it. And it took a long time for me to get okay with even kind of being and having this other random kid who wasn't my kid, if you will, in my family and in my life and all this kind of stuff. But it's been an awesome and amazing journey. So
yeah. So I mean, we've fostered a little bit about us, and we say this on another videos, or I say this on another video as well. We've fostered in 3 different states now. Rich is actually in the military,
yep.
So we will at some point make videos or a video about fostering in the military and the challenges there, because it's a very different world than fostering in a civilian world, in the civilian side. So we'll talk a little bit more about that at some point. But you know, as reluctant as you were, we still fostered in 3 states.
Right.
So you still said yes, not just the first time, but then again and again and again, right?
Yeah, I mean, over and over and over again, it's been one of those things where it starts off with this big no moment. What are you talking about? That's crazy.
It's jolting, right?
Yeah, like it's jolting. But then after I think about it and I go through the whole process, and I eventually get to a place where I realize it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes normal.
Yeah, and I say that in another video too, is a lot of times we don't feel like this is like a big deal, like this is someone else's problem, because we think like maybe like barely any kids are coming into care, and like maybe, you know, it's like, you know, maybe like a few families are needed. We don't realize this is like a big issue. It's
epidemic.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Like there are kids daily getting removed all over from their biological parents and put into foster homes, and the homes are needed. So when I brought this to you, I know it was something that had been on my heart since forever. So I'm former foster youth, and foster care was not on my radar, but adoption was on my radar. And that, once again, that's a story for another time. But we did kind of circle around to foster care at some point. And see, I actually attribute our foster care journey to you.
Right. I mean, it was kind of my idea.
It was his idea, reluctantly his idea.
It was a deflection idea at the time.
Yeah. Because at the time we were looking into international adoption, and something I had been told when we started, when I single-handedly started that journey looking at YouTube videos and crying to myself and going, I want to adopt someday. But when we started looking into when we started looking into international adoption, I was told, hey, just prepare for doors to be closed and closed and closed, and then you'll kind of find out where you're supposed to be, because you know, opportunities will kind of make you go in a certain direction. And that's kind of what happened with foster care. Really, right. Rich one day saw that it was really heavy on my heart and was like, well, let's foster for I think he was like, let's foster for a minute. You know, like let's just talk about foster care, you know. Right. And then it's kind of exploded from there, right?
Right. I mean, we do have 10 kids.
Yeah, we do have 10 kids, and we fostered more than who we have now. We do have adopted kids. We do have kids that are still in foster care, and we have had kids reunify as well.
Right.
And maybe we can make a video about that and just the struggles with reunification, because that's hard too. It's beautiful and it's hard, and once again, different video, different time. But here we are with 10 kids, and do you have anything to say to maybe encourage foster dads out there that might be struggling?
I mean, being a foster dad is the same thing as being a dad. If you've ever been a dad, even if you haven't been a dad, it's not something that has an instruction manual. So it's one of those things where you just do it and you figure it out as you go. And I mean, I don't know all the parents out there, your first kid and stuff. It's a journey, and just like foster parent, it's just a journey, and it's nothing to it but to do it. That's one thing we like to say, actually, is there's nothing to it but to do it sometimes. And
yeah.
So yeah.
That's true, because when we had our first child, our first biological child, who is now 17, I remember us looking at her the first time we gave her a bath, and she was her little tiny self in that little baby tub, and us looking at her going, how do we get her out? She's like so slippery, and like we don't want to hurt her, you know. You really do learn as you go, and I think that's where training There's a lot of trauma training out there, really great stuff that I think has been life-changing for us.
Yeah.
I walked into this journey thinking, I've been a foster kid, I should like really have this whole thing down. Like this should be a piece of cake. And that was not the case at all. Like I really needed the help and the encouragement and training. And so I'll talk more about that too at some point. I think I've mentioned it a couple times, looking into connected parenting. If you haven't already, I mean, just Google it and let it take you on a rabbit trail. And there's a lot of great resources and Facebook pages out there.
There's a lot of amazing stuff out there as far as whether you're a foster parent or regular parent, any of that kind of stuff. This stuff is for people. It's about interacting with people, right? So I mean, there should be more classes on how to be a parent or whatever. But if you're out there doing this, it's one of those things where you just do the training.
That's right. And so anyway, I just wanted to introduce you to my husband because once again, this is not just a foster mom's journey, and my channel is not just for foster moms or adoptive moms. It's for foster moms, foster dads, adoptive moms, adopted dads, CASAs, caseworkers, just so you can kind of get, for you that are CASA and caseworkers, you're going like, why us? But because to give you a little bit of perspective on like the inside of what this looks like for us on the day-to-day. And so this is for all of you, but I definitely wanted to bring Rich on here and maybe even more often. So comment below, like, subscribe, and comment what you want to hear Rich over here talk about. He's a little bit shy, but we would love to answer any questions. We're not experts. Like we just make this up as we go as well. But I think both of us, if we were like, if you get nothing else out of this video, well, two things. One is go get training. And I don't just mean go to your agency's training to get licensed and then walk away from training and feel like you've been there, done that. I mean, like go get real training, like TBRI, connected parenting, look into some of these trainings. And I think the other thing too is that you just feel encouraged, because I think a lot of foster dads in particular feel alone, and I've seen that a lot even in our local area. The foster moms will get together. We have support group meetings, and a lot of times only the moms show up, and it's really not meant for that. We want the dads to show up, and we want the dads to be able to discuss, because there's stuff that these dads see that no one else sees because they don't live in this world. And for them to have each other and just know like, hey, your kid had a nervous breakdown tying their shoes this morning, mine did too, you know what I mean? Having that ability to share.
Right.
We hope that we are an encouragement to you in that, like, we've been doing foster, do you know how long we've been fostering? I'm not gonna
Around 10 years?
Math this out. Almost, well,
Around 10 years, because...
Yeah. On and off, because you have to get relicensed everywhere you move.
Right.
So you're not alone. You're not alone here as a foster mom and as an adoptive mom. You're not alone as a foster dad. I mean, he's walking this with you and struggling with you and needing the help with you. And I'm not afraid to say I need help from time to time. So please don't be afraid to speak up and say, hey, we're in a desperate situation, you know, that kind of thing. We want to hear your stories. As always, share those with us. We'd love to hear. And we just hope you have a good rest of your day and that you feel encouraged in all that you do.
Yes.
All right. Bye-bye.